let's get started. Elijah would like to visit his friend Dustin by snowmobile. Elijah leaves his home and drives 13 kilometers at south 15 degrees west. So, southwest, gotta get this right. So this would be south and then going 15 degrees west. So it's not a whole lot of a turn, right? I'm going to use a ruler for that. So the 15 goes in there. This is my starting point. Leaves home, so let's call this H. Stops, refuels, right? So this is a stop right here. Continues 10 kilometers in the direction west, 10 degrees south. So again, there's a compass direction, so you can kind of imagine this. We're good? Okay. West 10 degrees south. So you're going 10 this way. West, 10 degrees, this is your west, east, right? So we're going in that direction for 10 kilometers. So this was 13 here. Then we're going 10 kilometers in this direction. And this is probably where it gets a little tricky. I would say if you have this part, you get a mark already. Like if you have the 10 degrees and the 15 and the sides, all of that is good to go. Okay. So this is where you refuel refuel, and then you arrive at Dustin's home. Maybe call that D, whatever you want to call it, it's fine. And now what? I'd say this is all part of you calculating, right? But this 15 touches the north-south line. So you can bring it in here, right? Because it will still touch the north-south line. Right? So that would be a very important concept for me. And you're like, I can't do, I'm stuck, right? What does a north and the northwest here forms a 90, right? So it's 15, 90, and 10. So it's 115 right here. Okay, so you can actually close this diagram. I know there's a bit of a pain, right? So what is it asking? Calculate the direct distance between the homes of the two friends. So it's asking for this essentially here. Okay. So if you either have the 115 in your diagram or it shows up later on, right, you would get full marks for your diagram because I understand that you know what's happening in this diagram. That's the only way you would have gotten the 115, right? So angle R is 10 plus 90 plus 15. Angle R is 115. I would say if you missed that, if you missed the 115, didn't get it, I don't know, -1, right? For sure, for this whole question, I'd say -1. If you still manage to use cosine law, which it is, sine, side, angle, side, right? So x squared is 10 squared plus 13 squared, thank goodness, no decimals, right? Times cosine of 115. And then this will give you root of 378.88. Watch your notation, right? As soon as you take the root, you only have x because the power cancels out. That's 1946 kilometers. And this is what I mean with I can't do every single scenario with you, right? The 90, right, would have been. So if this isn't there, you get a -1. So this is 1.5 for me, and this would be a 1. So that's why question B is 2.5. So 1 for the 115. If you didn't do it like this, if it shows up here, I'm fine with that as well. So I'm quite flexible that way because you showing me you understand what's happening, right? That's where it's at. That's what matters here. And the diagram itself is 1.5, right? So I would assume you gave me as much information as possible here and you made it look like this. So in total, 4 for this question, which is basically a compass direction tends to be 4 or 5 marks, usually, give or take. Next, search and rescue helicopter crew completed a training exercise. The crew flew 45 kilometers in this direction, north 25 west. So north 25 west, I'm going this way. And then south 51 west. So I'm going to start here. Right, so I'm going to have my compass rose. It's usually a lot better if you use a ruler. Okay, so north 25 west. So you're going 25 that way for 45 kilometers. Right, so the 25 comes in here. And then you're going from there. So this is 45 kilometers. Then you're going south 51 west. So this is my north-south line, east-west line. So south 51 west. So 51 going this way. And we're going, we don't know the length of this stretch, right? So watch this, guys. I'm going to make sure I don't line up perfectly with I'm not going to line up horizontally. I'm just going to, on purpose, not do that. So we start here, we turn, and we end here. Okay. So then it's saying that at that point, we are 75 kilometers. Right? This is 75 kilometers here. If you shot past, listen carefully, right? If you shot past here somewhere, that's okay. As long as you don't line up perfectly with the east-west line of your starting point. If you have something that looks like this, I give you a mark already. If you mixed up east-west, which happens sometimes, I would take off half a mark because technically you'll still get the same answer if you're consistent, right? If you consistently mix up east and west, but if you mix it up once and then get it right the second time, then it's going to be a problem, right? So then I would take off a full mark, right? So anyways, we have 51 degrees here, right? Because it says south 51. So if you have something that looks like this, 1 mark already. And here's the other mark coming in. This 25 touches the north-south, so it can touch the north-south here. So the 25 can come in here like that. And combined give you 76 here. So I'm going to call this A, B, and C, just to show you that it doesn't really matter. So angle B is 51 plus 25, which is 76 degrees. The 76 for me is a full mark, right? So if you don't have the 76, if you completely miss that, you would lose a full mark for that, because it involves you showing me your knowledge of alternate interior angles. It involves you drawing it correctly. So there we go. Okay, so I would put a full mark on that one. And determine the total distance traveled. I know now why some of you are asking. You're wondering if you're coming back home, right? To the starting. What does it say here? Flew this 45, then this, and arrived at their destination. So it's really just these two here, right? For this exercise, we have a pair, okay? This is 76 here. So that's my pair. I do have this side, which allows me to find this angle, which will allow me to find this angle, which will allow me to find this side. So it's more work, right? So let's go and start with the one you know. You should be able to do this if you have done everything right up until this point. So I'll tell you that it's sine of C over 45, right? That's all you can do at this point. Sine of C is 45 times sine of 76 divided by 75. Angle C, whatever you called it, is the inverse of the product and the division here, which gives me 0.582, and that keeps going. Angle C ends up being 35.60 degrees. Okay. This is important. It's not the final answer yet. So this is going to end up being more than 4, I can tell you already. So I would give you, for this, I would give you 2 marks. You getting the 35.6. All right, write it down. Even if you don't have it, write it down, right? You give it another go. Then angle A, this angle right here, is 180 minus 76 minus 35.6. Angle A is 68.4. I would only give you half a mark for that one. I don't think it's a whole lot of work there for that. Now that you have that, you can find this, which will allow you to find the total distance traveled. Let's call this x, or lowercase a, whatever you want to do. So I will do this here. I will do this here. Sine of 76 over 75 is equal to sine of 68.4 over x. X is equal to 75 times sine of 68.4 divided by sine of 76. X is equal to 71.87 kilometers. Not done yet. I would give you for this, because it's repetitive, I'll give you a mark because it's sine law again, just slightly different. So you get 2 for the first sine law, 1 for the second sine law. Okay. And now total distance. I will give you the marks regardless if you did all 3 or just the 2, because I feel like I wasn't very specific there. So whatever, so technically I meant this and this. So you would add up the 71.87. That's 6 and that's 11 kilometers. Or if you did all of them, you get 191.87, right? And again, if you made a mistake up the ladder, right? If you made a mistake up here, you lose maybe 1 full mark to 2 marks depending on why this is wrong. Maybe just half a mark if you showed me all the work exactly like this, but you somehow get the wrong answer, but everything else is the same, then I know you just typed it, something went wrong when you hit enter, right? That to me is only a half mark deduction. That's why it's important to show your work. But let's say you lose 2 marks, you got this completely wrong, but you do this, and you do this, and you do this, right? I would give you half a mark for this finding the total distance. So you could technically still score half, half, and 1, right? So let's review this. Ready? 1 mark for the diagram. Looks like this. 1 mark for somehow, in some way, shape, or form, having the 76 appear. Meaning you wouldn't lose a mark if you got that, right? Then you get 2 marks for using the sine law the first time, half a mark for figuring out the third angle, a mark for using sine law again to find that one missing side you have, and then half a mark for adding up either 2 sides or 3 sides. I'll give it either way. I feel like it was a little ambiguous, right? So 1, 2, right? 4, 5, 6. So this is not a 4 marker. This is a 6 marker question. Okay. Lots of stuff in this one. One was cosine law, one was sine law. And what I will do is I'll ask you to add it up as best you can. What about the first page? Some of you did it, I saw it. You know what? I'll just do one bonus mark if you got A right. 1+1 bonus mark. So let's look at A on the first page. If you did it, I'll give you one bonus mark if you got 111.80 for this angle right there. It's just a side, 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 classic, right? So if you got that, you get a +1. If you got the other ones, just a +1 for bonus, right? Just for this here. +1. So what are we at, you might ask, right? This was, the backside was worth 6 and 4, so it's 10. We're doing this out of 10, okay? So get rid of that 12 at the top and just say out of 10, potentially 11 out of 10 if you got everything right plus the bonus, right?